Right, we're on. Hello, next class, Saturday the 29th of August. I want to check. Another lying down class, so grab your equipment. So you want your mat, your cushion, make sure you've got enough space, water, make sure you keep yourself hydrated. Right, we'll get going. So lying down on your mat, shoulders relaxed, give yourself a minute. I want your legs straight if you prefer that, entirely up to you. If you have got your legs straight, try and keep your toes facing up rather than letting your legs drop to the side, so you're working sort of more neutral into the hip. Let the spine stretch out slightly, but try and keep it neutral. And then when you're ready, turn in your head from left to right. Close your eyes at this point if you want to, and just start to notice if any parts of your body are feeling a little bit tight or your weight's not quite level, and see if you can just level yourself up. Hold your head to one side for a few seconds, just to give that side of the neck just a quick stretch. Just once more. Then bring your head back to centre and start to circle the arms. So start with your arm bent and just resting lightly on the shoulder if that's comfortable, and circle round. Circle the arm round. Stirring around inside the shoulder, both directions. Good. Just listen to how your body's responding to the move, and then change arms when you're ready. Have a go on that side. So what we're doing in the warm-up room, we're just trying to reset the body, change direction. So if your shoulders are a bit tight, we're just trying to loosen them, ready for a bit more work. So if they are quite tight and you want to repeat that, you can, or you can come into both arms. So if you're going to do both arms, bring the arms back and around. Try not to overreach. If your shoulders are quite tight, there's a temptation to kind of force the rib cage up to get the arms lower, but that's actually just working the lower back muscles. So keep the rib cage quite flat and just take the arms back as far as your shoulders let you. And you can start to leave the arms back for a few seconds, pulling the rib cage down, just to increase that stretch. Check you're not pulling your shoulders up around your ears as you do that. On the next one, you lace your fingers together and put your hands underneath your head. And you're bringing the elbows in and out. So now we're resetting the front and back of the shoulder to position. So if your elbows are a long way from the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together and start to just see if you can stretch those chest muscles a little bit, squeezing back. Just be careful of your neck. Sometimes it's a tendency to push the head up when we're actually trying to bring the shoulders back, so relax the neck. If you do get to the stage where you can take your elbows out and they just sit comfortably on the floor, then you just leave them there and you start to focus on really breathing deep right down into your belly. And we're just allowing the upper spine to reset itself if it needs it. Okay, then we're going to go into our twisting. If you're comfortable with your arms in this position, you can leave them there. But if you prefer, I do, take your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Bend your knees and feet together. Reset the shoulders and the hips if you need to, and then twist. Legs over to one side. Stack your feet one on top of the other and enjoy that nice twist from the centre. Centre and same on the other side. So you're trying to get your shoulders to stay sitting on the mat and your hips twisting over to the side. So we're just trying to loosen around the middle of the body and the hips. You can turn your head if you want to, so you're looking away from your legs. A little bit more neck work. That grumbling is not my stomach, that's Benny. I'm disturbing his afternoon nap. Yep, he's telling me I'm disturbing him. I'm just going to lift my screen up so I can see that you can see what I'm talking about a bit better. That's it. Good. Twisting. And then if you want to, you can add that leg. So you go over and straighten the top leg and push through the foot, trying to sink the opposite shoulder into the floor. Good. So you realise you're too close to the wall. Never mind. And you do this one if you want to. If you pull your toes towards you, if you're trying to touch your knee with your toes and push through the heel, so you're trying to push your heel away, then you'll start to get a stretch down the back of the legs as well. Push out. If you're doing more driving again now, if you've gone back to the car or you've gone back to the office, then you're going to start to notice the legs start to tighten up and the lower back. So keep it stretching out. One more each way. And we're going to stretch through the legs and the torso a little bit. So with your knees bent to start with and your arms down by your sides, stretch out along the floor, straighten your right leg, and I want you to press your heel gently down on the mat to really get the leg straight. Lift your left arm up and pull it back. Draw that left shoulder down a little bit, square the rib cage. And then bring that arm and leg back in and repeat on the other side. So we're getting a stretch in the leg, so get the leg straight, push down through the heel, pressing your leg into the floor. Take the arm back and pull the shoulder down to square up the rib cage. This is another good stretch for the back of the thigh. If your legs are very tight, then you might find your knees don't fully straighten. So pressing down through, as always trying to push your leg into the floor. It's a good stretch in the back of the knee. One more, and then change it slightly. Okay, next time when you straighten the leg and pull the arm back, I want you to tighten your thigh muscles and lift the foot just an inch or two off the floor. And using the thigh muscles to hold it up there. And then I want you to circle your hand and foot a couple of times. So this is building up strength in the front of the thigh muscles as well. Just warming them up. And then bring that leg and arm back in, same on the side. So you straighten the arm and leg, square the shoulder rib cage, tense the thigh muscles to pull the foot up. And keep the thigh muscles quite tight, and then circle your hand and foot. So I don't want you to feel this from your lower back. If you do, then have the foot lower to the floor. Once more off each side. So straighten, tighten the thigh and lift the foot. Pull the shoulder down, circle the hand and foot. Back in. Last one. Straighten, lift, circle. And then have a good stretch. Straighten the legs, pull the arms back. You might feel your ribcage lift now. You're really getting a back stretch. Stretch out. Good. Bring your arms back down by your sides so the ribcage lowers again. Keep your right leg straight as it is, and again keep the calf on the floor. Bend, so slide the left foot towards you, lift it and bring the knee in. Hands, I'd suggest around the back of the thigh to help you draw that leg in without pressing too much weight into the knee joint. Sink the straight leg down into the floor. And you're trying to get the left leg, the bent leg, the thigh close to your belly. And then straighten that leg, same on the other. So you press the left calf down on the floor, bend and lift the right leg, draw it in. Use your arms to help you guide it, but don't yank. And you're trying to bring your leg towards your belly. Just going from side to side. So we're loosening up hamstrings again and glute muscles. Pressing into the floor of the straight leg. He's getting some hip flexion work done on the front of that leg. Once more. Alright. Don't yank. And then you can bring both knees into your belly if you're comfortable in that position, both legs in. If you're not, feet on the floor, and you let the pelvis just gently rock, just to release any tension in the lower back. If you've got your feet in, your knees in, relax the shoulders. Again, you can lace your fingers together if you want to, can't it? So it's like you've hugged your legs over the top of your arms. And you're letting your back sink into the floor. Now, for me, as soon as I bring the legs in, I feel my neck want to arch. So you might need to cushion underneath your head, or just lift and reset your head again so your neck isn't overarched. Breathe. So you're letting your thighs sink towards your belly. Move your feet around if you want to. It's a good time to mobilise the ankles while you're lying here. Relax the shoulders. Okay, we're going to do some upper back stretching. Because we're going to curl away from the floor, it's not appropriate for slip discs or osteoporosis, so you can stay here and let your back just stretch and be supported on the floor. But the rest of you, you're not so lucky. So ungrip your hands, just put them around the back of the legs, or if you want to, around the back of your head. And you're going to peel away from the floor. So your head, shoulders, spine, peel up. Nose comes a little bit closer to knees, and then your spine, shoulders, head, go back. So we're resetting back to the floor. If you find your neck tries to dominate this move, one hand under your head, or both if you want to, and think about squeezing your ribs to your hips, so you're shortening the front of your body to curl over rather than pull your head up. And then roll back down. Sometimes it's easier with your hands behind your head, behind your legs. It gives you a bit of a leverage, but no pressure on the neck. So squeeze the centre, bring your ribs down towards your hips and curl up. And place your spine back down so you're lengthening along the mat to reset the shoulders. If your neck won't switch off, one or both hands underneath the head is fine, just to let your head sit against your hands. You find it harder to lift yourself up without your arms around your legs, so it becomes more of a strength move as well. If you don't like doing this with your feet up, you can do it with your feet down. And I like to think about resetting the spine. It's a good one again. If you've spent your week leaning forward, if you've been driving, sitting at a desk, gardening, cooking, anything where you've been leaning forward, then just resetting the spine will feel good. Elbows nice and wide so you're not hunched in on yourself. And do one more. Squeeze up. And roll down. Good. Have a quick stretch out again. Lengthen the body. Pull the shoulders away from your ears. And do a little bit more work for the hamstrings. So bring the knees in again, but have your feet wider and your knees wider. And let your back sink into the floor. It's a nice one. You've got very tight hips and lower back, so relax the shoulders. Feet wide, knees wide, so you're getting a little bit stretch on the inner thigh. And if you want to, from there you can lift your feet a bit higher and hold lower down on the legs, or hold on the feet. Bring the feet towards you, so it feels like the lower spine's left the floor, rather than trying to hold on to them too far away. Bend the knees, it's fine. Push your feet up into your fingers and push your fingers into your feet. Relax the shoulders. Straighten the legs a bit if you can. Bring them a little bit closer to do that. Breathe through that nice stretch on the back of your legs. And then bend them, bring the feet together. Last final stretch out. Lift out of those hips, stretch the back. Bend your knees, and we're going to do some work lying on your side. So roll over onto whichever side you want. Make sure you can see, or at least hear, if you can't see me. I'll talk you through it. Have your knees bent. We're going to do chest opens to start with. So arm or block, whatever supports your shoulders in a neutral position. Back lengthened and ribcage lifted away from the floor. Top arm out in front. Lift that arm up. So really use the muscles in the side of the arm and the back to pull the arm up so it's sitting over the side of your body. Bit of pressure in the legs as you twist, taking the arm back. Bring the arm back up to the ceiling and down to the floor. So you want your pelvis to remain still. So at the moment, because I've got my knees and feet stacked, my hips are stacked and they're going to stay that way as a twist. So a little bit of pressure in the legs to stop them twisting. So your torso is turned towards the ceiling, your legs are not. If you find that's uncomfortable, try putting your top leg on the floor in front of your bottom leg. So your pelvis is tilted slightly, your top hip is slightly in front of your bottom hip. It might just give you a little bit more stability and allow you to get that good stretch. And when you bring your arm back up, don't just drop it to the floor, press, so you're pushing the air down into the floor. And then you lift up, so you're working front and back of the arm. Twist. Little pressure in the legs, stretch out that spine, pull the rib cage up away from the mat. Untwist and push down. Then do one more, reach up and twist. Really lengthen out of those hips. Breathe. Untwist and push down. Then we're going to work through the legs. Now I'm going to start you off with the legs straight, one on top of the other, and stretch. If you're very flexible, there's a tendency to overextend, so you end up with your feet coming too far back and your torso going too far forward. So I want you to try and get your heels, bum, back of the shoulders and back of the head all level. So your belly's pulled in. If you can't stay in that position, if you end up pushing back with your feet, just bend your bottom leg and you'll do the move just from the top leg. But if you're finding your balance, stretch out, reset this bottom shoulder so it's not pressing too heavy into the floor. Use the outer thigh muscles to lift that top leg to about hip height. Make sure your pelvis is square. Use your inner thigh muscles to pull the bottom leg about an inch off the floor so it's not going to drag on your mat. And then you scissor. So one leg pushes forward as the other leg pulls back. And I want you to really keep your tailbone pointing down towards the wall, towards your feet, so it's not swinging. And you're using your hips, you're using your leg muscles to swing these legs. If your bottom hip starts to feel uncomfortable, first thing to do is to check that you're not pushing down into it. So stretch your way out and pull your rib cage in. If it's still not comfortable with the move, keep the bottom leg bent and pull and push just the top leg. But if you can do both legs together, then you get a lot more abdominal muscles involved. Keep pushing your feet away, pulling your rib cage up from the floor and stretching through the spine. We're aiming to as wide a gap between these feet as we can to really extend and flex at the hip. Check when the bottom leg moves back that you're not just bending your knee, because that is cheating. And as you know, cheating has consequences. Push, keep using the inner thigh muscles to keep it lifted from the floor. One more. Really stretch with those hips and then bend your legs. Quick rest. Then we've got side plank to do. So put your top hand down on the floor, about chest level, and push yourself up onto your elbow, or if you prefer, onto your hand. You've got your bottom leg bent, sort of 90 degrees-ish. Find a comfortable position where you can basically use your lower leg on that bottom leg as a bit of balance. Top leg straight, again, heel, bum, shoulders all lined up. When you're ready, you're going to press down on the hand and the legs and lift your hip up. Use your arm for a bit of help. Lift up and lower down. As I say, if you prefer to do that down on your forearm rather than your hand, you can. So I want you to pull your rib cage in and lift yourself up. Stay there for a few seconds if you can, pushing down through your hand, reaching up with your other hand and down. Stay with this level if it feels the right work for you, or come up into full plank if you want to. So you come up as you just did, push into your hand and your top foot to enable you to take the pressure off the bottom knee. When you're happy that you can balance, you straighten that leg out so it just lines up with your other foot. Push your hand into the floor and reach up for your top hand. Hold it for a second or two, slide that back knee underneath you and sit down. Have another go. So come up off the hip, put your weight on your top foot and your bottom hand, reach up, lengthen the spine, so take the weight off the bottom leg, straighten it out. Hold it for a second or two, put it back down, sit down. If you're starting to feel this pressure in your knees, keep your bottom knee on the floor. Go up, stretch, find your balance, use your butt supporting arm, push down into it. Take the weight off the bottom knee, straighten it out. Hold it for a second or two, bring it back in, sit down. Good work. Other side, over you go. Chest open to start with. So lie yourself down, get your shoulders comfortable, get your knees bent, lift the rib cage, top arm out in front. Now, just check this arm that you haven't overreached. So square up your shoulders, then when you're ready, lift the arm. Stretch your back and twist. So you're moving your shoulder down towards the floor, not your hip. Back up, push down through the floor. Remember, if this doesn't feel stable or you're finding your knees are lifting, top leg in front, square up the hips as best you can. There will be a slight forward tilt on that top leg. Lift and twist. Opening the torso, pulling the shoulder down from your ear. Back up and push down. Keep lifting that rib cage. There's a tendency to try and drop in on yourself. And then you put all the pressure in that top side. Just square it up. Lift. Twist. Little pressure in the legs to keep them still. Bringing that shoulder towards the floor, opening the torso. Up. And I'll let you do one more. Lift. And twist. Just check your neck hasn't tightened up. And up. Smashing. Little scissors. Get the legs straight, one on top of the other. Remember, if you find it you overdoing it and pushing forward like a bit of a sergeant major position, keep the bottom leg bent. It just means you need a little bit more help with stability. Stretch out otherwise. Top leg up to hip height. Tense the inner thigh muscles and pull the bottom leg up a little bit. And then scissor. One forward, one back. Just rest your fingers on the floor if you need to for a bit of balance. Try not to push into your bottom shoulder. So use these leg muscles to hold the legs up. Push and pull them. Get a bigger gap as you can. Just be careful when this bottom leg moves back that you're not just bending at your knee. So, because we want that hip extension. So push through your heel, squeeze your bum. Good. Really use these legs. Gets the lower abdominals working hard as you use your hips. And do one more. Pull back. And then rest. Then we've got side plank to do. So top hand on the floor, back chest level, push up onto your elbow or your hand. And that's really down to preference. I prefer to be on my hand, but you might prefer to be on your forearm. Top leg straight, bottom leg bent. And again, you want your hips stacked, so you're not sat back here. Press down into your arm, your legs, and lift that hip off the floor. Use these side muscles to help lift you up and hold you up. A few seconds. And be careful you don't travel. Sometimes we push away from the arm or we push forward. So you're just going straight up. And straight down. And again, on the forearm if you find that easier to balance. If you want the full version, or the harder version, whatever you want to call it, top leg straight, you're going to lift up, but now we're going to take that bottom knee away. So you push through your arm a little bit and this top foot to allow you to take the weight off the bottom knee and straighten it out. Keep lifting the hips. Hold it for a second or two, slide that leg back in and sit down. Then you decide when you do it again. So straighten up, lift up, press into the hand and the supporting leg, pull the waist in, take the weight off the back bottom knee, slide it out the way. Hold it for a second or two, keep lifting, slide it back in, sit down. Decide whether you can do it again. The answer is always yes, till it's no. Lift up, straighten, keep the shoulders stacked. Sometimes there's a tendency to drop forward and you're looking down at the floor, sticking your bum in the air. Square up. This is side work. And down. Now, because I talked through that one, I might have distracted you, so we'll do one more. So come up, press the floor away, slide the bottom leg out, pull that rib cage in, lift the hips, keep them up. Slide in, sit down. Good. Have a quick drink if you want one, and then we're going to do a little, very quick bit of hands and knees, and then we're going to lie on the front. Let's grab a slurp of drink. So all I like to do on your hands and knees is to move and loosen up a little bit. So you're going to move around in a sort of a circle or a horseshoe shape, whatever you want to, moving around, sitting into your hips, coming forward to stretch the hips. Go as small or as big as you want to for your circle. Loosening the body and the shoulders, sitting round. Loosening it all up. You might find you can start to sit back a little bit more as the hips start to loosen up. Okay, then we're going to lie down on the front. So down you come. If you find your neck gets a little bit tight, then you put a block or a cushion underneath your forehead to stop you having to use your neck muscles to keep your head off the floor. Arms are down by your sides. Now I want you to pull your belly button to your spine a little bit. I want you to tense your thighs a little bit so the body's not collapsing into the floor. So suck in and just switch the leg muscles on a little bit. And then I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together. So you're pulling back. Hold it back for a few seconds. And then let it relax again. Don't worry about your arms. Sometimes people try and lift the hands up, but that's actually working into the triceps. I want you to work between your shoulder blades. So I want you to pull together. So it actually feels your elbows are squeezing towards each other. And then relax. A couple more of these. Belly's pulled in, leg muscles are just squeezed a bit, so they're supporting you. So pull back. Don't hold your breath, just feel those shoulders retracting and down. One more. Pull back. And down. And you can stay with that. If you're quite rounded, or you've got a job or a hobby that gets you into that shape a lot and your back feels very tight, then I would stay with those. Alternatively, come up onto your knees and pull back from there. If you find that's all there's not a lot of movement going on. But I'm going to bring it into swan dive if you can. So for that, you're going to lie back down again, tense the leg muscles, pull the belly button to spine, squeeze the shoulders back like you just did, and then use your back muscles to pull you away from the floor slightly. Not enough to press down on your belly. You're stretching out and you're sliding your shoulders down your back. And then you're going back to the floor. So rather than a push to get off the mat, pull your shoulder blades together, squeeze them down your back, and you use your back muscles to pull you up. Tense your leg muscles and they will help you hold yourself there. And then back to the floor. So squeeze back, pull down those shoulders, use your back muscles to pull you up, pulling your belly in at the same time, tensing your leg muscles. Back down. If you're feeling that in your lower back, there's a good chance you're coming up too high and you're actually going into extension. I just want you to engage them. Tense legs will help. Try not to let your feet push off the floor because that will use the pelvis. And have one more. Really use these back muscles to lift and hold you up there. Tense the thighs, they will help. Lovely. Then we're going to get the legs working on their own. So fold your arms. I'll start with the slightly smaller version and then I'll build it up just a little bit. So put your head on your arms. I'm going to lift my head so you can hear me, but you've got your head down. Tense your thigh muscles again and keeping the legs straight, pull your right leg away from the floor, keeping your hip down. And then lower it and the same on your left. Pelvis does not rock about, pelvis stays flat to the floor and you're using the muscles from your bum all the way down to your heel to pull that leg up. Pull your belly in and check your shoulders aren't hunching up round your ears. So we're starting to use the muscles in the back of the leg, which again we tend to dominate with the front of the leg, so these get a little bit weak. Stay with that if that feels like the right amount of work, or if you've got any sciatica flared up at the moment, I would stay with that. Alternatively, bend the right leg, pull the toes down, and then squeeze your bum and push up. So you're pushing your foot up so your thigh leaves the floor. Pull it back down, straighten it, same on the other leg. So you bend it to about 90 degrees, flatten the foot so you pull your toes down towards the mat, squeeze your bum, and push up through the sole of your foot so your leg leaves the floor. Try and avoid twisting in order to get the leg up because that's working from the lower back. So you're keeping your pelvis as square to the floor as you can and squeezing the butt to lift the leg. So that's going to get some real extension through the front of the thigh and it's really getting your bum muscles working. Try and avoid pushing hard with your arms. You'll probably find your leg or the leg will try and help, but as much as you can, think about lifting up. Push that foot up. Good. This gives you nice strong glute muscles. Stops your buttocks working their way down to the backs of your knees. That's never a good look. Benny agreed then. He doesn't think that's a good look either. Push. If you do feel that sciatica pinching coming on, rest. And then when you're ready, go back to just a straight leg. It's slightly easier to lift rather than with a bent leg. So you're not going to risk pressing on that sciatic nerve as much. One more of each side. And then we're going to bring the upper and lower body together. So what I like to do then is bring the legs together and press the thighs and the calves together. Take your hands, don't knock your water over. Bend your knees and bring your heels in towards your bum. But I want you to press the front of the pelvis down to the floor. So you're not sticking your bum in the air and getting a gap. Then I want you to bend your arms and put your hands around the back with your palms facing up. So you're pulling your heels into your bum, pressing the pelvis to the floor, hands behind you, shoulders down. Now we're going to push the legs out until they're straight. So push the feet away. And as the feet move away, the hands move away, the arms straighten, and that pulls you away from the floor. Use your back muscles to lift you up. Use your bum muscles to keep your feet off the floor. Stretch. Then I want you to pull back to the floor. So bend your elbows, bring your hands to your lower back, bring your heels in and press the pelvis into the floor. Start it again. So start to kick the feet away, pull the shoulders back, lift the torso. So you end up with your arms straight, your legs straight, torso lifted, feet lifted. Really using all the way down your back of your body to hold you up there. And then come back to the floor, bending the elbows. Pull your heels in tight to your bum. It's quite a tough one, that one. Have another go. Stretch out. So you're working from your heels all the way up to the back of your head. Pulling that belly up away from the floor. Sliding your shoulders down your back. Pull back in. Relax the shoulders. Pull the heels in. You might find it's getting easier to bring your heels in because you're just stretching around these hips. We're going to do one more. Push out. Straighten the legs. Straighten the arms. Use these back muscles to hold you up. Use your bum muscles. Back in. And rest. Well done. What's next on the list? Bring yourself up onto your hands and knees. You can do that circling a few times if you want, because that's quite intense, that last one. Just moving around a little bit. And then we're going to go into our 3/4 plank and our child's pose. So when you're ready, bring your hands further forward and pull yourself forward. So you end up with your hands underneath your shoulders, your bum muscles nice and tight, and you're pushed away from the floor. Try and avoid hanging out of your ligaments. This is an active move. Hold yourself up there. Breathe. When you've had enough, push yourself back onto your knees, and if you can, keep your hands where they are as you move your hips back. And then you come up and forward again. So as you come forward, you're trying to keep yourself away from that floor. Squeezing your butt, getting a straight line from the back of the head all the way down the body. Pull up and sit back, and that's your nice stretch. You can even, if you want to deepen that stretch, walk your fingers a bit further away. And come up. You might need to bring them in again as you come forward to your 3/4 plank. Stretching out the front and back of the hips, pulling your shoulders down your back. Tucking your tailbone if it needs it. You want to avoid sticking your butt out because you'll feel it in your lower back. Your front abdominals are not engaged. So your tailbone points down and your front abdominals are working to hold you in this plank. We're going to move it on if you want to. So sit back again. Rest out a bit, stretch your shoulders. This time when you come forward, we're going to have a go at getting to full plank, but we're going to break it down. So we come to our 3/4 plank, tuck your toes, keep your left knee on the mat, but straighten your right leg, so your right knee leaves the floor. And push your heel as if it's going down towards the mat, so it's holding your weight. Bend that leg. Same on the other one. So you're just going from side to side, just taking one foot off the floor. It's a good stretch for the calf and for the feet. And it's just starting to get that weight transferring from the knees to the toes. And you can stay with this if you want to, or you can straighten your right leg, push the floor away, tighten the abdominals, and with the right leg straight, straighten the left leg, so you come to full plank. Do not drop in the middle. Push the floor away, wide across the shoulders. Engage the leg muscles, hold yourself up there. Few seconds, knees down, sit back. Get your breath back and allow your back to stretch out again. Then come back to your 3/4 plank. Up to you, stay here or just go to the alternate straightens or come to full plank. So for that, straighten your right leg, push your heel down, push your hands down, and then straighten your left leg. So you want to be able to keep your hips pretty much where they were, pushing the floor away with your arms. When you've had enough, knees down, sit back, have a rest, let your body recover, and it will work again for the next time. Come forward again, tuck the toes, decide if you're going to straighten both legs. If you are, right leg first, push the floor away, then your left leg. Now what I'd like to do now is just to lift your hips a little bit higher, so the back of your hips are level with the back of your shoulders. Take the weight off your right foot and bring it through the middle. Straighten it, same on the left. Drive it through the middle. We're going to do a few more of these. Keep your hips still. Drive that knee. You're trying to bring your thigh towards your belly. Keep pushing the floor away with your hands. If you start to feel this in your lower back, go back to child's pose and rest. Pull through. One more off each side. Put your knees down. Sit back. Well done, that's a tough one. Let your bum come down now. If you don't like child's pose, your alternative is to sit on your bum, have your knees bent, and relax forward over your legs, if that's a better stretch for you. But if you're happy in child's pose, big toes together, knees apart. Quick stretch for the quads. If you sit back, either on your heels or on a cushion, and get your body as upright as you can, that will stretch the front of your legs. If your knees don't like it, wedge up, put something on the back of your legs so you're a bit higher, just to get that stretch in the front of the legs. Then maybe your knees will go a little bit wider when they've got used to that stretch. Keep your bum where it is and start to walk your hands forward, letting your chest drop towards the floor. If you find that's too demanding on your shoulders, you can make fists, one on top of the other, and support your head that way. Or you can fold your arms and put your head on your arms. Or use a cushion if you want to, just to get a stretch in the inside of the hips and down the torso without any pressure in the shoulders. Sink the hips nice and low. We're going to do some side body stretching now. If it doesn't suit you, I'm going to give an alternative in a minute. But if you're going to stay here, you've got your arms sort of either side of your head, sort of framing your head, and then stay there, and you're going to take all of that torso and the arms over to the side. So I've lined up sort of with my left knee. Arms are still either side of my head, and I'm pushing my right hip back slightly to square it up. So I've got to stretch down the right side of my body. Come back to centre, everything levels up. Square the hips if they're moved, then over to the other side. So I've lined up with my right leg this time, pelvis is square, sinking down, and you're breathing into that side of your body where the stretch is. I'm just going to go from side to side a few times. I'll show an alternative if that doesn't suit you. So your alternative, you just sit on your bum, legs however you want them to be. I've got my knees a little bit bent and a little bit wider. One hand on the floor, reach up and over. And then come back. So you can do this with your legs crossed if you prefer, or legs straight, up to you. But try and lift out of that pelvis. Come over. And then if you want to, those of you sitting, as you go over, you can do a little bit of a rotation. So I'm bringing my right shoulder over towards my left knee a little bit in that direction. So to the side, and then a little twist, just to get all these muscles around the side working. Those of you doing your child's pose, just going from side, stretching down the side of your body. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've got a bit of time yet. Oh, you are lucky. Right, quick slurp. And then we'll go on to the back. So cushion again if you want to. You're going to lie down on your back. Use your hands to help you lie down so you're not going to smash your head into the floor. Relax the shoulders. Check everything feels level. If you feel that you've worked one side more than the other, or you feel a little bit off balance, a little bit of the twisting. Because we're stronger on one side than the other, we tend to work those muscles a little bit more. So a little bit of twisting, just to level up if you need to. Then come back to centre. Let's do a bit of marching. So get the shoulders relaxed and down, and the arms down by your sides. And just check out where your weight is. You want it as level as you can, so you're not pushing back into your head or into your lower back. People tend to sometimes sort of pull in too much at the front and press down into the floor. We're not doing that. So stretch out. When you're ready, with your knees bent and your soles of your feet on the floor, you're going to take the weight off your right side, off your right leg, so you can lift your right foot off the floor. Hold it for a second or two. Check out the rest of your body that's keeping as level as it can, and put the right foot to the floor. Weight back on the right side, weight off the left side, so you can lift the left foot. You're going from side to side. So remember, on this one, it's a really good exercise in its own right. It builds up pelvic stability, but it also gives you a chance to make sure that you've got enough of your stabilising muscles switched on. Because what you're looking for is that your body is not collapsing from side to side. Your weight is as level and as long as you can get it, so you can balance on one foot. So stay with this. If you feel a little bit tired now, because we've been going a while and you want to just bring the work down a bit, then stay with this. Really good stabilising exercise without requiring too many muscles to do too much work if you're getting tight. But if you can, come to knee fold. So rather than just lift your foot a little bit, use the hip flexion to bring the leg up to about 90 degrees. Bend at the knee as well. Hold that for 5 seconds. Use these thigh muscles to hold the leg up there. And down. Same on the leg. So same applies. Move your weight from leg to leg to allow you to lift and hold at 90 degrees. Relax the shoulders. So as that foot goes to the floor, it takes the weight. The other foot lets go of the weight so it can lift. Thigh muscles are switched on, contracting to hold the leg up there. Spine is lengthened. Stay with this if it's the right level for you, or come to double knee fold. Float that leg up, bring it a little bit closer if you want to just support the back a bit more, and then float the second leg up. And it looks like it's floated. Legs are parallel to it because the shoulders are relaxed, thigh muscles are switched on, stretched out of that pelvis, shoulders relaxed and down, holding it for 5 seconds. And then one at a time, feet to the floor. So lift, set that leg in the right position for your lower back. If your back's a bit tight today, bring your knee in a little bit closer. If it isn't, hold it at 90 degrees. Float the other one leg up to join it. Parallel legs. Sometimes the knees drift or the feet drift about. Line them up. Relax the shoulders. Breathe for your 5 seconds. One at a time back to the floor. We're going to do 2 more. So up you come. And down. Enjoy that quick rest. Last one. Up. Up. 5 seconds. And down. And have a stretch out. Maybe if your hips are feeling a little bit tight, bend your knees a little bit so you can put your feet on the soles of your feet down. One hand on top of the other under your bum. And then straighten your legs out. And because your hips are lifted higher than your knees, you'll get a quick stretch in the front of the hips. Not for too long though, because your fingers will go numb. If you're feeling very tight and you want a bigger stretch, put a cushion where your hands were, just to lift you that bit higher. If you're ready though, single leg kick is our next one. So relax the shoulders, raise your right leg to 90 degrees, keep the pelvis neutral so the thigh muscles are lifted, not the lower back. Raise your left hand up over the shoulder, squeeze the centre, push the leg forward, pull the arm back. Going to hold it for 5 seconds, so square up the shoulders, the ribs, tense the thigh. Hold that for 5 seconds. And then back down. It's not an exact number, slow count to 5 is fine. Same on the other side, so lift the leg, lift the arm, straighten the leg and pull the arm back. Square the shoulders, square the ribs, tense the thigh muscles to hold that position. Okay. Stay with this option or come to double knee fold if you want. Level 2, so one leg up, other leg up. So double knee fold, get the hips in the right position for you so you feel as quite close to neutral as is comfortable. Raise both arms. Tense the centre, push the right leg forward, pull the left arm back. Square up the shoulders, tense the thigh muscles to hold that leg there. Check the other arm and leg are holding their shape. Come back in. Other side, so straighten the leg, pull the arm back. Tense that centre. Square up the shoulders, tense the thigh muscles. Don't hold your breath. Have another go if you can. If you're starting to feel this in the lower back, put the foot to the floor. You need that bit more support. No crime in it. Have another go if you can. Straighten, square up, tense the thigh and hold. Make sure you're breathing. Back in, Last one. Out, square up, breathe and count to 5. And in, well done. Hug the knees in if that's comfortable for you, or have a stretch out if that feels better. It depends on where you felt you held a lot of tension in that move, so just relax it out. Hip lifts next. Feet on the floor. Now you don't cramp, so make sure your feet aren't too far away, because the further away they are, the more you're going to use your hamstrings. So they need to be quite close. Knees about hip distance. If you want to work your inner thighs a little bit more, put a cushion between your knees. That will make you grip on and use your inner thigh muscles. Relax the shoulders. Squeeze your bum muscles a couple of times to make sure they've woken up and know they've got a job to do. And then squeeze and lift. Root down into the base of your shoulders and your feet about the same amount. And back to the floor. Try not to slide along the mat. Try and keep yourself level, so you lift up, grinding down into the shoulders and the feet and lifting the torso. You might want to fidget your shoulders down a little bit if they feel that are around your ears. And down. One more, come up. Now make sure your knees haven't drifted apart. If you've got that cushion, they won't be able to. Just check your knees haven't drifted. And down, lovely. If you've got any sciatica or lower back issues, I would ignore the next bit, just carry on as you are. But otherwise, if you can, you want to, take your cushion away and bring your knees and feet together. Now go up. And down. And this is going to work the side bum muscles a little bit more. Because your feet are closer, your balance is compromised. So you're having to use these leg muscles. You might find it harder to lift to your bridge, and your knees want to widen. Have a slight gap. They don't have to be locked together, but you're basically narrowing your base. Lift. Again, check those shoulders aren't around your ears. And down. If this is making your lower back uncomfortable, go back to your feet wider. Up. Lift those hips, squeeze your butt. Really stretch the front of your body out and keeping that torso up. And down. Good. Knees into your chest again. And we're going to come up to sitting. So you can put your feet down, use your hands and push yourself up, or hands around the back of the legs. Push your legs forward and allow them to pull you up, if that suits you. Once you're up, roll the shoulders back. Roll them back. Put your hands behind you, just rest on your fingers, so you're not going to put any pressure there. You're just rested lightly on your fingers and you're pulling your shoulders back and down and puffing your chest out and up. Good. So allowing your back to just gently arch as your chest pushes forward. Again, a good one if you've spent a lot of your week forward and rounded, just to give it a stretch. Helps with neck alignment as well. If you want a deeper version of that, go down onto your flat hands, fingers facing you. Keep your elbows just softly bent. And the same, so you pull your shoulders back and down and push your torso up and forward. You're going to feel more stretch in the shoulder with this version. So it resets the shoulder back and down. So very good if you're prone to shoulder injuries, as long as you haven't got one at the moment. If you have, I would go back onto the fingers. Push up. Try and keep the weight in the heels of your hands rather than pushing it forward onto your fingers. One more. Pull back and down and lift your chest. And relax. Sit up and forward and breathe into your back. Breathe into your back. And then we'll twist. So sitting up, you can sit on a block or a cushion if you want to now. Try and avoid rounding your spine. So set your sitting bones right underneath you. If you do a little bit of a rock, you'll feel them. And then up out of that pelvis, no sinking down. one hand behind you, quite close to your body for support, and turn your torso in that direction. Come back to centre, same the other way. So as you twist, try and keep your hips square. And that's easier to do if you're sitting up out of your pelvis. If you've dropped all your weight into it, you haven't got very much mobility. So sit up and turn. Hands are just helping. One hand against the side of your leg, other hand behind you, just giving you that extra bit of support. And you know, as soon as you get a bit of support, I'm going to take it away. So one more like this. Then change your leg position if you need to. You might want to cross your legs. I find it easier actually to straighten mine, but find a position that gives you a bit more stability. Fold your arms and sit up nice and tall. And then twist. So you're having to do the work without the support of your arms now. Twisting. Keep lifting up out of that pelvic bowl. Imagine it full to the brim of water. If we sink into it, we're going to slop the water over the side. So we're going to keep the water nice and level by putting as little pressure in the pelvis as we can. Good. Twisting. Keep reaching your head for the ceiling. Come back to centre. Bend your legs, and now you can support your weight on your legs just by sitting forward. Okay, we're going to do some standing up work. So to get up there, you're going to bend your legs, take them over to one side. That allows you to put your hands on the floor. If you look down between your hands and give a big push, that gets your knees underneath you. Tuck your toes, bring your hands in front of your knees. Another push to get your knees off the floor, and you roll you back onto your feet. If you've got any osteoporosis or slip disc, then put your hands on your legs and support your weight as you come up to standing. If you haven't, relax the neck so your crown of your head is pointing down. Get your legs as straight as is comfortable for you. Tighten your belly and use your back muscles to pull you up. So you're slowly building your spine from tailbone, slowly rolling it up. Pulling your shoulders back and down until you're upright. Once you're up, we'll do a little bit of work for the lower legs. So get your feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider, and stretch your toes out. And then I want you to just gently rock on your feet. Use the wall to balance, put your hand on if you want to, or just do one leg at a time if you're feeling a little bit wobbly. But otherwise, just rocking on your feet. Letting the weight come through the front and back of your feet as you rock forward and back. Find a spot to look at about eye level, just to help you focus as you rock backwards and forwards. And you gradually start to lift your heels a little bit higher, bit at a time. So you're starting to feel the front and back of the lower leg working. They're really crucial for balance, so if they're not switching on properly as you roll through your feet, then that's going to affect your balance. On the next one, I want you to come up a bit higher, and I want you to stay there. Again, hold onto the wall or a chair, or just do one foot at a time if you prefer, but try and pull the heels up towards the back of your knee. Drop your shoulders, squeeze your butt so you're not sitting back on yourself. Balance on these feet. And then slowly down, arms out in front, reset your feet if you want to, so you feel comfortable. You're going to ski, so you're going to pull your arms back and sit down into that squat, and then drive your arms forward, little back bend there if you can. So sit down into those hips and come up out of them. Pulling the arms back, use your shoulders, squeeze them together a little bit if you can, and sit your hips a little bit lower. Push through your feet to pull yourself up to standing, and then a back bend if your back allows it. Couple more. Sit, drive up. Last one, sitting down, coming up. I want you to keep your arms raised and pull your shoulders down. Now set your feet so you feel nice and steady and your pelvis is square, and then you're going to tilt to one side. Pull yourself up, tilt to the side. Now as you go over, press the opposite foot down into the floor, so you're really getting that stretch from the side of the body, and pull up. So you ground down through the feet, reach this top arm up and over, relax the shoulders, and then up, over again, stretch out of that pelvis. Really good for the waist muscles, this one. And up. And then lower your arms, put your hands in your back pockets, pull the shoulders back and press the sternum away. So try not to push your hips forward, you're pulling through your back muscles, pulling your shoulders back and down again. Good. And release. Good one if you get an achy back, if you've been standing a while and your back starts to ache, it might be that you start to drop forward and then you're putting tension there. So hands in your back pockets, pulling your shoulders back and down and lifting out that torso. And just give it a rest. And relax. Do it again. Pull back and down. If you can, lace your fingers together. As you pull your shoulders back and down, push your hands down your back. It's the same as when you've got your line on your front earlier. So if you find yourself standing and you're starting to get an achy back, then we're just trying to do these moves because you can't always grab your Pilates mats and lie on the floor. But just a quick stretch, pulling your shoulders down, lifting your torso. Good. One more. Pull back and down. And release. That just releases the shoulders. And we'll finish with a nice hug. So give yourself a hug. Bend your knees a little bit if you want to. And then open out, straighten the legs, push down through your feet, rise your head to the ceiling, pull your shoulders back. And again, curl into a ball. And then open out, pull the shoulders back. Good. So many of the things we do in modern life now pulls us into this shape. So if you start to get an achy back, stretching the front of the body might just help you. One more, curling, sit a little bit lower and then open out. Pull your hands back, press your sternum forward, squeeze your bum. Breathe right down into your belly. And then lower your arms before they fall off. Move your feet, relax the shoulders. We're done, class done, well done. Give yourself a pat on the back if you can reach. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.